You know, there's a comfort to Minecraft. It's like a digital safety blanket. However dark the night gets, you know the sun is going to rise. However deep you dig, you know you can always place a torch, and that little circle of light will be yours. It will be safe. It's a world built on logic. Cause and effect. Punch tree, get wood. Build wall, keep monsters out. It's a promise the game makes to you. But what happens when a mod comes along and breaks that promise? Not in a fun, challenging way, but in a way that feels hopeless? The comforting Minecraft sounds distort slightly, fading into a low, pervasive ambient drone. The screen, if visual, would now show a distorted, foggy, and grim version of the game. That's what I found with this mod. I'm not even sure I should say its name. It feels like giving a name to a sickness. I went in like I always do. New world. A little nervous but excited. The usual. The first thing I noticed was the silence. Not a peaceful silence. A heavy, waiting silence. Like the whole world was holding its breath. The colors were wrong, too. Washed out, like an old photograph left in the sun. And the fog, it clung to the ground, so thick you couldn't see your own feet. But my instincts kicked in. Right, I thought, first night is coming. Need wood. Need a shelter. So I went to punch a tree. And my hand went right through it. I don't mean the game glitched. I mean, the block phased. It became intangible for a second. A quiet, digital gasp. And I heard it then, for the first time. Faint, layered under the ambient drone. A whisper. It wasn't a language I knew. It was just static. But static that felt like it was watching me. That was the first rule broken. The fundamental law of Minecraft. You can interact with the world. And it was already crumbling. My heart started beating a little faster. Okay, I mumbled to myself, this is the gimmick. The world is unstable. I can work with this. I managed to find another tree that held its form long enough to get a few blocks of wood. I made a crafting table. I made a wooden pickaxe. The familiar thwack of breaking stone was the most comforting sound I'd ever heard. I was mining cobblestone. I was playing the game. Maybe I was overreacting. I built a small hut. Just 4 walls, a roof, and a door. As night fell, I placed my torch. The flame sputtered to life, and that little circle of light felt like a victory. I'd done it. I'd carved out my sanctuary in the madness. I sat there in my hut, listening to the new night sounds. Not the groans of zombies or the rattle of skeletons. These were different. Distant, dragging sounds. Something that sounded like faulty machinery, mixed with wet breathing. And through it all, those whispers. Then, the second rule broke. My torch flickered. Not like it was running out of fuel. It stuttered, like a corrupted video file. The light dimmed, then surged, then dimmed again, casting long, jumping shadows across my tiny room. Then, it went out. Not a poof of smoke. It just vanished from my hand. The block was still there on the wall, but it was dark. Inert. Panic. Pure, cold panic. I was plunged into absolute darkness, the kind you never get in normal Minecraft. I fumbled in my inventory, my hands shaking. I had another torch. I went to place it. You cannot place that here. A generic, vanilla message in the chat. But it felt like a sentence. A decree. My sanctuary was no longer mine. The light wasn't mine to command anymore. That's when I saw it. Through the window of my hut. Just a shape, far off in the tree line. Tall. Impossibly so. And it was lurching. Its movement wasn't smooth. It was a series of still images, teleporting a few feet at a time, leaving a trail of visual noise behind it. It didn't have a face I could see. It was just a silhouette of wrongness against the darker black of the forest. And I knew, with a certainty that sank into my bones, that it was coming for me, so I ran. I broke down my own door, the one thing that still obeyed the physics, and I ran. I didn't look back. I could hear it behind me, not footsteps. A sound like television static getting louder, and underneath, a low, guttural vibration that made my teeth ache. I found a cave and dove in, scrambling deep into the earth, thinking, it can't follow me down here. It's a surface thing. It has to be. The cave was no better. The stone veins pulsed with a faint, sickly light. The tunnels, they shifted. I'd run down a corridor, turn around, and it would be a dead end. The map in my head, another fundamental tool for survival, was being redrawn by a malicious cartographer. I cornered myself in a small chamber. No way out. I turned, my back against the wall, waiting. The static grew deafening. The air grew cold. And then, from the solid rock wall in front of me, its head phased through. Just its head. That long, distorted, faceless shape, hovering in the stone. It didn't attack. It didn't make a sound. It just waited. And my screen began to glitch. The terrain flickered, replaced for fractions of a second with images of my own character, standing in the room, from different angles. It was showing me past and future versions of my own terror. My own inventory menu flashed open and closed, items scrambling, my name distorting. It wasn't attacking my health bar. It was attacking my interface. My connection to the game itself. It was telling me, in a language beyond code, that I did not belong here. That my presence was an error. I finally did the only thing I could. I closed the game. Just Alt F4 feet D out. I sat at my desktop, in the quiet of my own room, my heart hammering against my ribs. The normal icons, the familiar wallpaper. It felt alien. The fear had leaked out. And that's the genius, and the horror, of a mod like this. It's not about losing your items. It's not about dying and having to retrieve your stuff. That's a setback. That's a challenge. This is hopelessness. It's the systematic dismantling of every single thing you rely on. The world isn't solid. Light doesn't provide safety. Your own base is a trap. The monster isn't something you can fight, it's a fundamental force, an anti-player. Its goal isn't to kill you. Its goal is to unmake you. To delete you from its reality. You can't win. You can't even really play. Your only role is to be the subject of an experiment in terror, to run and hide until the thing conducting the experiment finally grows bored and ends it. It turns the world from a sandbox into a cage. And it reminds you that the most profound horror isn't a monster you can see and fight. It's the slow, chilling realization that the rules you trusted were never real to begin with. And in a world without rules, there is no hope. There is only the wait for the inevitable.